Hi, this is Julian for Production Expert. This video accompanies an article on the site which is about crush buses and compressor choice when setting things like that up. The compressors I'm going to use in this video are the ones referenced in that article. That's why I've chosen these ones. Others are available. These are the ones we're looking at. I'm going to demonstrate them, point out some strengths of these particular compressors and hopefully kind of inspire some experimentation in you. What we've got here is we've got some drums. Sounds like this. Nicely recorded, dry at the moment, but I'll just pop a bit of cinematic rooms on just because it sounds nice. If you notice, that's on the master, sort of unusually. It's out of the way of the compressor, so any compression I put on this reverb isn't going to be being compressed as part of it. But what I've got here is I've got a room mic muted at the moment. Here's what it sounds like. It's adding something really nice. I'll bring it up a little bit. In fact, let's just listen to it on its own. Now, room mics can sound a bit underwhelming on their own, but in context, they're great. However, I'm going to use a crush compressor. I'm going to be talking about crush buses. I'm not actually using a bus in this case because I want to make it really, really obvious visually where the compression is being applied. But here we go. And I'll bring this back, it's a little bit too much. Around about there maybe. And bring in the first of the compressors. Here we've got a distressor. This is like the sort of second call after the 1176. And with good reason, because it sounds fantastic. Here's what I've set up on here, using the attractively named nuke ratio. Now, I'm sure you can hear there's some colour introduced there. And there's also some rhythmic stuff that's happening. The beat feels different with that compression on. I'll just knock it out again. It feels simpler, but with that crush compression back in, it's almost introducing a little bit of skip. What I would say is don't necessarily head straight for the nuke. For example, listen to 6-1. I think I prefer it. And of course, you can experiment with any of those. Now, what we could do is we could look at everything on here, particularly the release, which is really important. The release is pretty fast. It's not absolutely as fast as it goes, but it is pretty fast. That has quite a profound effect on the results that you get. Let's put this one away for now, then. We'll have a look at the next one. This is Softtube's FET compressor. This has been around forever. I know it really well, and I like it. The reason I like it is because it sounds a lot like an 1176. But it doesn't slavishly adhere to the controls an 1176 has. And because of that, it offers some stuff that you can't do with an 1176. What I'm going to set up here actually is you've got variable ratios. You can get any one of the ratios that are available on 1176 and some that aren't. So you can go below 4-1 and get all of these low ratios, which are really cool. And if you go up, you can go to 20-1, and then you can also go to all buttons in. And they're the only choices you've really got on a proper 1176, but you can go in between. And that's the thing that I really like. We'll start at 20-1 and I'll switch to all and you'll hear the difference. Now there, I don't think we're that different from the distressor. It's a timbrely is different. It's kind of brasher and brighter. Now listen to all. Now, all's a little bit too much for me, actually, but what you've got is you've got these other ratios. So what we're going to do is we're going to just nudge past 20:1 just a little bit, 20A, I don't know what you'd call that particularly, and that's the sweet spot for me. I think it sounds really nice. So here we are, we'll start with nothing. And we'll bring in 20A. That's really nice. Here's 20:1 for comparison. It's cool, but it's not as cool as that. But all buttons in? That's a little bit too much for me. So back to this sweet spot. Nice. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This McDSP 6030 is brilliant for comparison stuff because you've got 10 different compressor types, compressor styles, call them what you will, and increasing in intensity and aggression. But the settings you set up on one will persist to the other models. So because of that, you can get really meaningful comparisons really quickly. I really like this British C. This is like a Navy diode bridge style compressor. I like what it's doing to that sort of little ghosting bits on the snare. There's a little rah. But if we wanted to go a little harder, well, let's go all the way to D357. And we'll hear it gets a bit more strident. Okay, listen to the cymbal. And you hear that in and out. I'm not that keen actually, but if I want to really kind of relax things back from this British C, Moo Tube, that's a very maybe manly style thing. Really nice. Listen to this, bit more relaxed, but loads of colour. That's good. And that cymbal's not misbehaving nearly as much. Okay. Just wanted to leave that cymbal to go around once again. Anyway, right. We should talk about release times. So we'll move on to the next one, which is Dynamite. This is the Valley People Dynamite. A bit of an odd hardware unit. It's a slightly cult appeal on this one. But if when you first have a go on it, you might go, oh, I can't be doing with that because it's weird and different and you can't quite get the results out of it you're expecting. It's because the controls are a little bit odd. But it does some cool stuff. That's cool. It's got a bit of a shuffle to it. Now, this is where, if we wanted to, we could really kind of pull things around. Well, let's solo it up. And you'll hear it's got quite a spit to it there. If I change the detector mode to peak, it will actually change the attack time, although we don't have a direct control over the attack time. Killing that dead. I don't like that. It's a bit flat. That's got a bit more life to it for me. This range control's odd because it sets the maximum gain reduction that you'll get, but it also messes about with the gain overall, as it should. But it's kind of distracting, so you get this kind of effect, which, yeah, play around with it and you will understand what's going on. But initially, it's a bit off-putting. But let's play with that release time. We've got not the fastest release it does at the moment. Let's really speed things up. Hear what it does. More spank there. Slow it down. Oh, too slow. Okay. So if I pull it back to around about where we were and we pop it back into context, maybe with a bit more of that room in there. Let's try that fast release. It's intense. Slowing it down gives it more of a whoosh whoosh kind of skip. That's pulling it right back. You're only really getting those rises poking through just in a couple of places now. Quite like it, yeah. There's a very different feel. So, I mean, hopefully you can see, depending on exactly how you set it up, rhythmically you can introduce some quite big changes. Let's move on to, this is probably my favourite of the bunch, although I find I'm not disciplined enough to use it well. UBK1, Cush Audio, fantastic. The thing I love about this is the fact that the 5 different styles of compression that it offers are so distinctive from each other. Let's start off on, you might think Crush is the best place to start. I'm not sure it is actually. We'll start on Glue. This I absolutely adore. Right, we'll start with it out and I'll bring it in. Isn't that fantastic? Listen to Crush. And compare that to Smooth. There's almost a backwards quality to that one. And Splat's great. Listen to this. With that slow release, it's only poking in a couple of little rises. It's almost like it's putting in a pedal hat. There. Lovely. But yeah, Glue, fantastic. So that's an absolute headbanger of a compressor. Anyway, there we are. This is what I wanted to be talking about. There's loads more that we could look at here, but experimenting with not just the settings you have in your compressor, but also the compressor you're using might yield surprising results. And I think there's a real sweet spot away from the most aggressive options available. They can be cool, but try stuff that's a little bit more relaxed and you might find it actually sounds bigger.